on how the day begins at dawn. I'm going to start in Genesis 1 because this seems to be what causes the most confusion. So I'll just read the first 5 verses here in the KJV. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So this term here, and the evening and the morning were the first day, this is what causes the confusion because this is actually mistranslated. It's not supposed to be saying this, but it does in the KJV. You'll see in the ESV, it does this a little better. It says, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. So it's not saying evening and morning were the first day. It says that after he does his work, all of verses 1 to 5 until this point, then there comes evening, then there comes morning, and the first day ends at morning of the next day. And to further go into it, you can look at the Strong's Concordance. You can notice that evening and morning, these aren't actually 12-hour periods of darkness and light. The words Arab and Boker, they just talk about the transition periods between light and darkness. So it's not actually 12-hour periods. Properly, Boker is just dawn. It's not talking about the actual 12-hour period of light because it already has a 12-hour period of light, a word for that called yom. This is the 12-hour period of daytime as opposed to the night. And yeah, sometimes it does mean 24 hours as it is in the days of creation, but like the daylight period, that is yom, but the sunrise, that is boker. And there's a difference here, and you have to understand that difference because Genesis 1:5 literally cannot be saying that the evening and the morning were the first day because Arab and Boker, it's impossible that those small periods of time together can make 24 hours when Arab, that's only sunset, and Boker, that's only morning. So those are both periods of time less than 1 hour each. So how is it possible that those small periods of time can equal 24 hours? It's not. So it's saying God does all his work during the daylight, then comes evening, then comes sunset, then comes sunrise, and the first day ends at sunrise of the next day. So each day ends and begins at sunrise from the days of creation. That's how God established its order from the beginning.
So I hope I stitched that correctly, but basically, I did the whole screen record on Matthew's video because I really liked the way how he explained it very simply about Genesis 1 because that's what confuses a lot of people in regards to when a day begins. Because a lot of people read Genesis 1, they read evening to morning, and I remember even for a little time I was kind of stuck on that and it made it hard to see when a biblical day begins and just any day when a day just in general begins because a lot of people like to use the evening to morning to be like, oh, a day begins at night, but biblically speaking that doesn't make any sense, especially after the way how when he went through the scriptures and showing that God made the day first and then he made the night. So day came first, and not only that, God only ever did his work during the day. So you have to think morning, evening, then morning, and then that's a day. That's an actual day, because the day doesn't. So the day ends and begins in the morning when the sun rises again. How do we know that? Because so actually I'm gonna read Genesis 1 and not the full thing, but I'm gonna read verses 14 through to 18, where it says, Then God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Right there, in verses 14 through to 18 of Genesis 1, it shows that the sun rules the day and the moon rules the night. So there's no mistaking that. So even if you want to try and define, according to your own thoughts, when a day begins and when a day ends, you can't, because right there in those verses it shows the sun rules the day and the moon rules the night. So if that's what the scriptures say, not my own thoughts, not your own thoughts, then we should be following the scriptures and taking heed to what's being said, and not, add confusion saying, oh, the day begins at night, because that's essentially what you're saying when, like, oh, a day starts in the evening, and that's why I do evening to evening Sabbath. It doesn't biblically make any sense when you're saying that. And I forgot to say this is for women, but I hope it goes without showing after, if you've been around for my videos, I'm speaking to women, not to men. It's even in my bio too, about teaching women. But anyways, right there, see right there, shows an example. I feel like a perfect example in a worldly sense is, so I work a job. Okay, thankfully, praise God, not a lot of hours, but one of my shifts is usually 3:30 to 7 to 7:30. It's about 3.5, almost 4 hours, depending on how things go, right? And so when it's the end of my shift and I'm saying goodbye to my boss or coworkers, and imagine if I did evening to evening Sabbath, or just saying in general, a day always ends and begins at evening. And so today's Sunday night. So imagine I'm working Sunday night, and then I say to my boss, or again, my coworkers, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that it's Monday already. They're going to be looking at me like I have two heads, because nobody's sitting here in their right mind when it's Sunday night thinking, wow, it's already Monday. No, you want to know why? Because even in a worldly sense, they know that the next day is the next day. When I'm saying, hey, see you tomorrow, and it's Sunday today, it's still Sunday, even though it's night, yes. But it's like I say, hey, see you tomorrow, Monday. How do they know that's the next day? Because when the sun comes out, because the sun is out during the day, not at night. Also, something I don't think many people consider or understand is that day and night are separate. So technically, I will say this. So the sun rises, right? The day begins. It even is the definition. If you watch Matthew's video, I say watch the whole thing. It's really good. He does a good teaching on that. But even just in the beginning part, he's showing Boker, morning, means break of day, beginning of day. It's right in the definition, so you can't define it yourself. You got to go off what his word says in the definitions and things like that. And it shows right there. That's a perfect definition of when a day begins. Right, so that's when the day begins. But how do we know a day is over? Technically, yes, when the sun sets. Right now, like today, how it's Sunday night, I know that it's no longer Sunday during the day. Why? Because it's night, the moon's out, the stars are out, it's dark, right? But it's still not a new day until the sun rises again. And I think that's the separation that's really hard for people. They're not reconciling how a day and night are not one and the same. They're just lumping it all together, but you need to read Genesis 1 to see, oh yeah, he separated the day and the night. It's not one and the same. They're different. So hopefully that helps someone, and I would recommend reading Enoch about the luminaries, because I think, honestly, it kind of explains it a little bit further to kind of go more in depth about the sun and the moon and how it works. And honestly, I feel like it would really help someone who's struggling with the whole when a day begins. But anyway, so now I'm going to go to Luke 24, because this is also a pretty obvious one about when a day ends. And yeah, or like when it also, so this disproves evening to evening Sabbath, but it also disproves the whole Sunday, like Messiah resurrecting on Sunday. And this is from a gospel account. So it says, now on the first day of the week, very early in the morning. So it's the first day. How do we know it's the first day? Because it's morning. It's not, they didn't say like at night, just right there. I feel like it's pretty obvious. But anyways, morning, they and certain other women with them came to the tomb, bringing the spices which they had prepared. But they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. Then they went in and did not find the body of the Lord Yeshua. And it happened, as they were greatly perplexed about this, that behold, two men stood by them in shining garments. Then, as they were afraid and bowed their faces to the earth, they said to them, why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but is risen. Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in the Galilee, saying, the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the third day rise again. Not the third night, Not the third day at night did Yeshua rise again. And also this even goes with Daniel 9:26-27, where Messiah was crucified in the middle of the week, because you don't get 3 days, 3 nights from Friday to Saturday. It just doesn't biblically make any sense. But when you do Wednesday, and like you start off I think with Wednesday night or whatever, and you go to Saturday, because remember he's Lord of the Sabbath, it would make sense that he arose at some point during the Saturday, like Sabbath, not Sunday. Like, I don't understand. It's like when you look at it all in context, it basically shows that he didn't rise on Sunday. So it disproves both things. It disproves the evening to evening, and a lot of the also the other Gospels accounts disprove evening to evening as well. And when you look at the resurrection and things like that, because pretty much all of them say, oh, in the first day of the week, very early in the morning, and it's like, come on, it's right there in the scriptures. Like, how much more clear does it need to be? But those are just some, and I'm gonna get into some other scriptures too. So continuing on with another really obvious one is one, actually, when I was listening to my sister Meg's video, I kind of forgot about this one, but it's in Exodus 19, where, God's like telling Moses to gather the people, and on the third day he will appear and all these things. It's right before he gives them the 10 commandments, right? Which is in Exodus 20. But anyways, I'm going to start from verse 10. Then the Lord said to Moses, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and let them be ready for the third day, not the third day at night. For on the third day the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. You shall set bounds for the people all around, saying, take heed to yourselves that you do not go up to the mountain or touch its base. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Not a hand shall touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain. So I want you to keep in mind what we just read. Think about what God just said to Moses, right? About the third day. Be ready for the third day, right? But then, verse 14, just think about this. This is mind-blowing. If it's like, I don't explain, but it just hit me, and I was like, like, there's gonna be different verses that hit other people. Like, some people, it really is the Matthew 28 one. That's the one I think that actually got me and my family to see, oh, it's the day doesn't begin at night, because we were doing evening to evening for a while too, so we understand why people are doing evening to evening, although we weren't really sucked into the doctrine that much. It was more so it was really more so just like us being Catholic and then just jumping right into the Torah movement without any knowledge of what we were doing. But that could have been us too. We could have gotten sucked into the evening to evening, but praise Yah that we did not. He protected us, let's just say, from a lot. We were not like, I don't want to say like stupid sheepies, but we didn't do our own due diligence to see, oh, like, are they right about this? We were just sort of like, oh, like, we were wrong with being Catholic, so this must be, the right way. Sorry, I had hair in my mouth and I'm holding it with one hand because I'm trying to make sure the wind doesn't blow it away. But anyway, so Moses went down from the mountain to the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. Oh, sorry, this was actually, it wasn't verse 14. I skipped ahead, not skipped ahead, but anyways, hold on. And he said to the people, be ready for the third day. Do not come near your wives. And this is even deeper. My brothers and sisters have done teachings on this. I have not yet, because it's something I'm still trying to reconcile. But basically, it has something to do with the key of David. And maybe I'll try to link some of their videos, because if there's some people maybe who already see the day dawning or whatever, but there's other knowledge they may not know about, like the key of David, I would suggest to go watch their teachings on it, because they do good teachings and things like that. And I don't feel like I'm qualified to teach on it, because I've understood it, but not in its fullness. But anyways, then it came to pass, sorry, the hair just got, I'm literally holding this so in a way so that the wind doesn't blow the page away. But anyways, then it came to pass on the third day in the morning. So God did not appear. If it said that God appeared to him in the third day and it was night, that would be totally one thing, right? Then it'd be like, okay, that's when the day begins. But that's not what it says. It says in the morning. So it shows right there, hey, the day begins in the morning. That there were thunderings and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain, and the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. And I don't think I'm going to read the rest of this, but boom, right there, it shows third day in the morning. So God was not, so that means the Israelites knew when a day began. And yes, I know there's going to be people, this is the thing that people like to use. I will notice Genesis 1 a lot, and Leviticus 23, but something they don't reconcile in Leviticus 23, and actually I think I'll go to it. But anyway, something that people are not reconciling. So a lot of people in Leviticus 23, and I don't know exactly what verses, I don't know if it's like 23 or 20 or something like that, but it's not like the very first few verses that actually talk about the Sabbath. But they like to use the ones that talk about, I think, the solemn assemblies for yourselves, and it talks about evening to evening. That's because some feasts specifically do begin at evening, but that doesn't support or prove when an actual biblical day begins. It's just for those specific feasts. Like the Passover, for example, the way how it happened. Remember how the Israelites, I don't know if they left in the night, middle of the night, whatever, but anyways, it shows why it starts that way because of that reason. And I think there's like maybe one or two other feasts that begin at night, but if they all began at night, why don't all say it? Why do only a few specify when it begins? Because guess what? A day doesn't begin at night. And the children of Israel knew this. But anyways, the verse that people aren't reconciling is verse 3, where it says, where it's literally, this is talking about the 7th-day Sabbath, because it says 6 days shall work be done. Not 6 nights. Not 6 nights and then on this, or no, it's not even, it's not like 5, so it's not 5 nights, and then on the 6th night, rest, because it's a Sabbath. No, it says 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work in it. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Boom, right there. People aren't reconciling though that verse. No one talks about that verse in that chapter that really is in regards to the biblical Sabbath. Instead, they talk about the verses after again that talk about the feast, biblical feast. If each day began at night, he wouldn't have to specify for which feast began at night. All of them, they would all just know, oh, it's night. Like they would just know, oh, it's night, so it's the Passover. Oh, it's night, oh, so it's like Pentecost. Oh, it's night, so it's tabernacles. No, it's the reason why it's at night is because only a few again begin at night, but not every single one. Because the day doesn't begin at night, it begins at dawn. And if you still don't believe what the scripture says, let's go further. Let's dive into this, because guess what? 1 Samuel 19 verses 10 through 11 make it even more like a day begins at dawn. But anyway, so 10, so this is when Saul's wanting to kill David. So then it says, then Saul sought to pin David to the wall with a spear, but he slipped away from Saul's presence, and he drove the spear into the wall. So David fled and escaped that night, right? Saul also sent messengers to David's house to watch him and to kill him in the morning. And then it says, and Michal, I don't even know, but David's wife told him, saying, if you do not save your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. How did she know when tomorrow was? Because in the morning, she knew that it was going to be the next day. She didn't say, hey, tonight my dad's trying to kill you because that's when the day begins. No, she literally says the next day, tomorrow. And that's also, when you look at, again, how do people know it's tomorrow or the next day? How do you know it's Tuesday? How do you know when it's Monday and somebody says, see you tomorrow, it's going to be Tuesday when the sun is out again? Nobody in their logical mind sits there and thinks Monday night, oh, it's Tuesday. Apparently, unless if you're somebody who does evening to evening Sabbath. So to end it off, if this all wasn't clear, I'll be doing the last scripture, because honestly, once you see it in just one place, you end up he shows you it pretty much everywhere. It's in so many different scriptures. Even the ones that I'm about to list, there's so much more than that has been found since that time when we, me and some sisters put the scriptures together. But anyway, so 2 Peter 1:19. And so we have the prophetic word confirmed, which you do well to take heed, as a light that shines in a dark place, until the day dawns and the morning stars rises in your hearts. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of scripture is of any private interpretation, for prophecy never came by the will of man, but holy men of God spoke as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. So boom, right there, it says until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your heart. It's almost like, why does it say that? Why did Peter say that? Until the day dawns? Maybe because it's really important to know when a biblical day begins. So then you can properly keep the Sabbath and then tell other people the proper way how to keep the Sabbath. And the morning star, I think that's actually, from what I've seen biblically speaking, is Yeshua rising in your heart. But anyways, boom, right there to end it off. That's prophetic of the day dawning, because a lot of people aren't going to have the day dawning. As we see in the Torah movement, a lot of people are doing evening to evening. There's not many who are preaching about the day dawning. But anyways, I hope that this will help some women see about the day dawning, because it's really important to know when a biblical day begins, so you can again properly keep the Sabbath and just in general share the truth with other women to do so, because it's important to know when the day begins. So may the day dawn and the morning star rise in your heart, and may you know the truth, and the truth, set you free.